All right, we're back in the greenhouse again, and we got a whole bunch of pipe fittings, mostly 3/4 inch, but some adapters that go down to 3/4 to 1/2 inch. Some are treaded, some are smooth. Whole purpose is to run the plumbing system for all our hydroponic stuff that's going to connect back to that blue drum right there. Now, the first place I wanted to focus on was these 6-inch sewer pipe. Well, this probably ain't sewer pipe. This is more like a high pressure water line or something, because this pipe is super thick, and I had to drill through this super thick plastic pipe with a couple different drill bits of a large enough size that would allow me to actually adapt to a 3/4 inch tread fitting. And first I ended up using a step bit right there that actually made about, well, 3/4 inch genuine, but we all know that any plumbing pipe fitting is not exactly the size it says. It's actually larger. So then I had to upgrade to a larger bit that I used to wallow the hole out some, in order to just allow me to be able to kind of loosely tread this pipe in, this fitting I mean. And then I'm going to have to come back over this with a hot glue gun to fully seal the thing. You know, take the fitting off, put some hot glue in there, tread it back in, let the hot glue work into the treads and everything, and then further glue around the edges to seal it. So I'm going to get those fittings on these two sections of pipe. This section here is actually going to be more like a bridge between the two pipes, because one side's going to get the water coming in, fills up to a certain level, flows through the bridge into this one, fills this up to a certain level, and then flows out of a drain line going back to the tank over there. So we're going to actually have to drill 2 more holes in these pipes and run some more fittings in there, but the main thing is just getting the fittings in there right now. So I'm going to get that done, and then I'm going to come back and connect all the stuff together permanently. Some of our pipe fittings are 1/2 inch that are going to be worked up to 3/4 inch for the main line, and because I actually have a 1/2 inch tap, it allows me to actually do a proper treading of the thick pipe in order to tread the fittings in order to get at least a decent enough seal with the use of Teflon tape. So the 2 lines that are actually going to be moving water in and back out are going to be 1/2 inch, and the rest are going to be the other stuff over there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff done because it's hot out here. So let me get this done. All right, got these fittings here secured in place. You can see hot glue gun, everything secured in place. This is actually going to be utilized with this setup right here. Well, it'll be oriented, you'll see how it goes in, but the whole point of this is to be a bridge, as indicated, between the 2 pipes to allow the water to cross over. Now, as far as the other ones over there, yeah, kind of chose to make them smaller because I don't really want the water to flow in super fast, because then you might run the risk of it not draining back out quite fast enough, and then it'll overflow out through the holes that I'll have to cut in these pipes later for the cups, for the planter cups. So with the fittings all in place and everything, we're going to move these back over to the greenhouse and start hooking all that crap up. All right, got some of the stuff connected between the sewer pipes, well, the big pipes. As you can see, these 2 sections right here are connected. These are the ones that were hot glued in, so these are just pressed together. Of course, I'm going to have to secure the pipes so they don't shift or move around where it might compromise those glue seals. The other 2 fittings right here, the ones that are treaded in, one of them is going to be the drain line, this one right here, and these fittings are also pressed together, have it adapted up to 3/4 inch, because it's going down into there, down there, and it's already connecting to the first drain line on this hydroponic setup. Of course I'll repeat the same thing over there before routing it back over to the blue drum. Now, the same thing is going to happen with the water lines. I'm going to have lines hooked up to those ports right here and here, and then they're going to route along here and connect up to there to supply water to all 4 units as intended. So just showing you how everything is going together. I obviously pressed everything instead of gluing everything together in case things need to be moved, replaced, serviced, whatever. Since this isn't super high pressure, we can get away with it being pressed together versus glued together. Of course, after everything is operational, we will have to check to see where any leaks may be and seal them up accordingly. But until then, we're going to get everything put together and try to get it all done. So I'll continue on with the drain lines since that's going to be the easiest thing to finish. Then we'll go ahead and continue with the water lines. All right, we went to the store, got some more fittings that we needed to complete the hookups going into the drum here. Got some glue and stuff too for the spots that I do want to glue up. But just to kind of show for starters, this line right here is going to be the section that actually feeds water up from the drum into the hydroponic gardens. At this point, that line right there is going to angle back down and go into a pump at the bottom of the drum there later on. But in the meantime, we're going to have this situated right there at that fitting right there. And I'm just going to drill a straight hole through the drum to put that pipe straight through. We're not going to use no threaded fittings or anything. And of course, that'll connect us to the line that's feeding the hydroponic gardens. At that point, I need to put an elbow and some other fittings to connect over to that fitting, which will feed the final amount of water into this pipe here, which then of course will flow over into that pipe there and return back again. Now, as far as the drain or the return line, that one will be using the threaded fitting. We're going to drill a hole right there, right about at the edge here, put an elbow, which we already have set up right there. I'm going to thread that into the hole in the drum and then just press that into the fitting there, and that'll be our drain line, which will just simply empty right on in there. No big deal. So I'm going to go ahead, start drilling some holes and get these fittings put together. Alright, got all our plumbing hooked up here. We got the threaded fitting threaded in the hole for the drain line, and that's all hooked up now. And we also have our line that will be hooked up to a pump in the future. As I stated before, I just drilled a regular hole through the drum, just put a straight pipe through it, angling it down to where the pump will end up going. And of course that'll pump up into this line that'll feed all the hydroponic gardens. And of course hooked up that line right there to feed these garden setups just the same. So after looking at our little setup right here, more than likely I'm going to have to take these threaded fittings out and put some extenders in there so I could widen the gaps right here, so when I put caps on, they won't be interfering with the fittings, as you can see, because that's a pretty narrow gap. And from what I noticed, the caps are kind of thick. So I mean, it's a minor setback, but all the more reason why I didn't glue any of this stuff together, because for all intents and purposes, the pump that I'm using is probably going to be something in the range of a fountain pump that's high volume but not super high pressure. So yeah, we got all that all hooked up now. So with that, we can move on to bigger and better things with this setup. All right, we are putting this little clip in with our greenhouse work because it actually is part of the greenhouse, even though it's part of a greater system, and that is our garden irrigation system, well, micro irrigation system. And I had already been running PVC lines, as you can see, along the top of the fence there to feed the other gardens over there, but with the greenhouse being set up, also need to be able to supply it too. And to do that, I ended up connecting at that junction right there, poking a hole through the paneling to route that little connector you saw on the inside. You even have one going down here for these strawberry beds. Then, like I say, we got it going in there where that's gonna feed all the raised beds here. Then, going around furthermore, I continue the PVC lines along the sides of the greenhouse, going around. And this point right here is actually going to be a junction where it'll continue to feed water going that way to the rest of the garden when I do set all that up. But in the meantime, we got another line right there running out along the side, and got more junctions right there, more T's with one line feeding down into the garden, into the greenhouse that is, to supply all these raised beds when I get them set up. And of course that line will be feeding these drum beds right here. And going along the top of the greenhouse, and the rest of this little spur line angles down to the ground, partially buried in the gravel. I will obviously need more gravel to cover that. And it runs over here and terminates right here in order to feed these 4 raised drum beds right here. So that's why it's included with our greenhouse video, because, well, it is feeding the greenhouse. We do need to get some more fittings and all to help complete the setup. So we're going to go ahead and do that and finish assembling this stuff.